Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. Very excited for today's collab. Other half, we've heard of them. Hazies, stouts, mostly hazies. Monkish. Yeah, all the hazies are belong to us. So that's why we're drinking ESB, son. Other half of Monkish, frozen in place, extra special bitter. I was so excited to see this on the shelf because it was like I saw other half of Monkish and I was like, okay, I dig the other half. I haven't had my fair share of Monkish. It's been years since I've had one, I believe, but I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Is this going to be $38 a 4-pack? So I immediately go down to the price point and I look and it says $15. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then I read, it's an ESB because that's a natural, that's what you'd expect from Monkish and other beers they're making. Now, full disclosure, I bought this and didn't even think about it. Looked in the bottom. It actually is 3.5 months old. Shouldn't be a problem with the ESB. I just find it weird that it finally hit my local, the one I go to most of the time. It just hit. It hasn't been there, so it's been 3.5 months and it must not be selling. So it gets out into the world. We have an ESB coming in at 5.5% extra special bitter, frozen in place. On the side here, brewed by Other Half. It's a Brooklyn Jam. 5.5%. It says, time is just standing still because you have cold feet. Break free and grab this ESB collab with our friends at Monkish. It's malty, hoppy bundle of goodness. Delicious, just with the right amount of bitterness and hop flavor to balance the malt profile. Nugget and Cascade. Hopefully everything's running smoothly here. I'm kind of reconfiguring my whole setup here. Every year or two, I kind of do a refresh on my computer setup. Got a new processor. Probably going to drop a new video card in. Probably post New Year's. Got a new monitor, so everything's kind of angles are changing and all that kind of stuff. So this is my actually first review since I plugged everything back in. So hopefully it's not a dumpster fire. Well, outside of what the normal dumpster fire is. So label-wise, it's cool. It's what you'd expect from kind of an ESB can. It's nothing crazy. Outside of what Other Half typically does, except this little contour cut there that kind of, let's do that right there. Beer-wise, that looks all the part of what you expect from an ESB. It looks like iced tea. That's kind of where ESBs roll. Just under a pinky finger of khaki. It's khaki colored head with that nice, rich, kind of washed out amber / brownish mixture of coloration kind of body to it. So let's get a nose. Yeah, it smells like an ESB. Malt forward, rich English maltiness. You're talking probably Marisotto plus. Maybe even a touch of chocolate malt in there just for a little something extra. Maybe even a touch of oats or something for a little bit of richness. And then the other side of things, you have the soft tannic tea-like hop. It doesn't come off overtly bitter. It's one of the tricks of what an ESB is a lot of people think it's ESB, so it's going to be extra bitter. No, it's an extra special bitter based off of what bitter beers were years ago, which is totally completely different to what beers are now. So it has this soft tannic bitterness, tea-like bitterness, this nice sturdy malt backbone. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's not too shabby. By that I mean I actually really like it. It's got a nice maltiness that touches on a brown bread component, which is very typical for an ESB. But it has a little bit of extra to it. That's why I said I think there might be some kind of chocolate malt or something in there. It comes a little bit, not richer, but there's something about its breadiness that comes off a little bit, not desserty, but has a dollop of that going for it. On the other side of things, still that kind of little tannic hoppiness, but it actually kicks it up a notch with it's not piney, it's not resinous, but it's got echoes of that. You're talking about Nugget, you're talking about Cascade, so it kind of makes sense with that. So I was really curious about that with the ESB Cascade in a Nugget thing going on here. I wasn't quite sure how that would play. I'm sure absolutely positive it comes down to how the brewers want to choose to use those hops, because hops can play so many different ways and how you utilize them in a beer. But it does have a really kind of like, okay, we read the BJCP book on ESB, now let's do our thing without getting too kooky. That's the vibe it has going for it. It doesn't taste like it's suffered all that much from any kind of like age. And again, 3 months is not that old, but you know, in today's world, that's like hyper old for some people. And probably the biggest thing here is a cool mouthfeel where it actually has, it starts off with like a little rich kind of almost Bach-like kind of mouthfeel, but it finishes real quick. So it kind of switches. It kind of goes back from this kind of rich Bach-like mouthfeel, and then bang, kind of cleans up. Which kind of makes sense, you know, if you think about a Bach, it's a lager, so it's going to drink kind of easy. So it kind of has that vibe going for it. I like it. I like it quite a bit. It has a little bit of an American twist on it with the way the hops kind of show in here, but it definitely has a really authentic kind of, you know, ESB kind of core to it, which I think is kind of like par for the course for a lot of breweries nowadays in the United States. You know, ESBs always have had like quite a big wide variance, especially from pub to pub, the brew pub overseas. And it's kind of done its own thing over here. You know, we have a Bond Place over here, with a bunch of breweries over here that lean into ESBs. And they, almost everyone has their own kind of fingerprint on it. And that's what kind of works here. That's kind of what you get from this. I drink this out of a can. I don't know what it is. And am I thinking Monkish? Am I thinking other half? No. But knowing that they can make these kind of beers, knowing that they like to make these kind of beers, and they make them quite nice. My fan is rattling and it's driving me insane. I dig it. I dig it quite a bit. So there you go. This is one of the better ESBs I've ever had in my life. It's tasty. It's not Mount Rushmore status. It's one of the better ones that has a late yes. I mean, it's a really fun beer. The price point was right. You know, the kooky collaboration and the kind of beer it is. Couldn't help but pick it up. I think it's quite fun. Value availability. For an ESB, it's overpriced. You know, ESBs, you kind of want them to be like $10 a six-pack. In a perfect world, craft, even ESB, you want it to be closer to 12, but you're talking about, you know, a west to east coast collab, 2 hype breweries, $15. Not going to get too hot and bothered over it. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like ESBs, or ESBs, I think it said something other than B there, ESBs, and you dig on, you know, hazy breweries doing old school collabs, you'll dig this. So there you go, reviewing the books. Other half Monkish, have you been to the breweries? Or on other half's case, have you been to one of their 750 breweries? Or tap rooms? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? What are your thoughts on both the breweries? You can give me any thoughts you have, but more specifically, wouldn't they dip outside of their comfort zone? Now, fair game. Monkish really did start off as like a Belgian brewery. We're just going to make Belgian beers and do all that kind of stuff, and quickly shifted to the haze game. They're not foreign to this. Neither is Other Half. Listen, you know, they do so many different things at Other Half, but it's not what they're known for the mainstream. So if you drink those two breweries, this is probably outside of something that you normally drink. What are your thoughts? All that fun stuff down there. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little collab goodness right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.